Good morning. Holy smokes, that started off right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Apologies for running a little behind, but we'll get going with the Economic Standing Policy Committee for Wednesday, May 17th. If we can first start with a roll call.
Councillor Carlson.
Present.
Councillor Croson.
Here.
Councillor Dodick.
Still here.
Councillor Palladino is not present. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Here.
Acting Mayor Parker. Deputy Mayor Middleton Hope.
Present.
Mayor Higgin.
Present.
Councillor Campbell.
Present.
Councillor Carlson.
I'm still present.
All members, quorum is established.
Thank you so much. We will move on with that reconciliation statement. The City of Lethbridge acknowledges that we're gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationships to the land. The City of Lethbridge is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. On our agenda, we'll start off with a presentation. I'll even go through to the adoption of agenda. I'm really skipping it forward here, sorry. Adoption of agenda we'll start off with. How about that? From Acting Mayor Parker, we have a resolution here to be resolved that the agenda of the Economic Standing Policy Committee meeting on May 17th, 2023 be adopted as presented. Acting Mayor Parker?
If there's no additions or deletions, I would ask for support and call the question.
There's just one change where we have done the change from presentations. 5.2 will replace 5.1, so we're just going to reverse those two as we do have Rocky Mountain Turf Club here. So with that change, all in favor? Passes. Thank you. And the consent agenda from Vice Chair Middleton Hope. Be resolved that the minutes of the Economic Standing Policy Committee meeting held on April 19th, 2023 be approved and the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to sign the same. Further be resolved that the status of initiatives for May 17th, 2023 be received as information. Vice Chair Middleton Hope.
Other than it being in reverse, the mirror image of it, I can call the question.
So Hope, Middleton, John, Mayor, Deputy.
There.
Okay.
The motion was reversed anyway, so
All right. With that, all in favor?
I
Opposed?
used my left hand.
I guess we should vote no.
All right, so we'll move right on to presentation. So 5.2, which is 5.1, we will move on to Max Gibb, CEO of Rocky Mountain Turf Club, Reconciliation, Indian Relay Alberta Association, The Spirit of the Horse. And Mr. Gibb, if you wanted to introduce those that are with you, we greatly appreciate it.
Well, I have a great CFO here, right here with me, Blake, and no one knows who Rose Rossi is. I know that. My name is Max Gibb, or I prefer to be known as Akayu, a light-colored bear from the Blackfoot Nation, and I wish you all someday worthy of receiving a Blackfoot name. I also want to say one little thing. Ryan Parker always makes a little fun of my age, and I just want to point out that I'm younger than President Joe Biden, and I'm trying to get a date with Martha Stewart. So, with that, should we start with the presentation and then? Well, first of all, I just want to say one thing. How good does the sound Lethbridge, home of the Warrior Relay Racing, sound? Calgary has Calgary Stampede. Lethbridge is going to be the home of Warrior Relay Racing. Okay, with that, we'll go with what? Our drum music doesn't work, eh? If you've never seen the Warrior Relay races, you have really missed something. They are spectacular, they are special, they bring humongous crowds. One of the original builders of the grandstand that was on the exhibition board of directors said that the largest crowd he'd ever seen was when we hosted the Canadian Blackfoot relay races. By the way, Rufus Goodstriker there was just named to the, Rufus has passed away, and I don't know if you knew of him. He was a wonderful man, amazing. He was just named to the Lethbridge Sport Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago. Some of these young people, it has changed their lives. They'll tell you that it's changed their lives. The pride and the inspiration of the individuals is amazing. It's about healing, horsemanship, enthusiasm, reconciliation, community, understanding, passion, solidarity, respect, competition, opportunity, and training for all ages. We see this as see the young people participating. We're going to involve them in the industry. We're starting and encouraging a program similar to the 4-H. We're not going to call it 4-H, but where young people will be raising horses and growing with them and participating in warrior relay racing. The horse is a major spiritual event for our First Nations. That's one of the events. Parking lot was full. The roads were packed. The vision and leadership in promoting First Nations participation in our industry is unlocked. We'll go, but again, the crowds, the people. They dress in their traditional regalia. It's unbelievable. We're so proud to be part of it. And Lethbridge is going to be the center of warrior relay racing. On our bigger days, we always involve prayer, mini powwows, drums, and song. Our drum music that was supposed to go with this didn't work. But anyways, so I'd like to introduce 2 or 3 people. I have with me Chief Charlie Weaselhead, who's also the past Chancellor of the University of Lethbridge, who's been extremely involved. And Bruce Ironshurt. Bruce started, revived warrior relay racing a number of years ago on the Blood Reserve, which has spread across Alberta. And he is head of family services for the Blood Reserve, has held many amazing positions. They've both been extremely supportive to this group. We have a governance body of which Chief Charles Weaselhead is on. Honorable Dr. Shirley McClellan, who I'm sure you're all aware. Chief Dr. Wilton Littlechild, myself, Akayu, and Bobby Horenda. And we will be expanding that, and we will be developing a board of directors. Though Warrior Relay Racing is happening, there needs to be coming together in a structure and an organization so they can be coordinated and developed. And we see that starting in Lethbridge. And again, Lethbridge would be the center of Warrior Relay Racing. I just want to give you a little background about the economics, because it is about economics, it's about tourism, it's about agriculture, employment, and overall economic development. In 1996, I was going to go live at my ranch. And at the same time, the Lethbridge exhibition, for economic reasons, were closing down horse racing. It was actually interesting. Doug Mitchell, many of you would know him. He was the husband to Lieutenant Governor Lois Mitchell, and Premier Klein actually conned me into and said, Max, we want, you know Southern Alberta, you know horse racing. We don't want it to die in Southern Alberta. And they asked me if I would come down and give it a year's try. And I did. And then I told them it probably wouldn't work. And they said, no, not only that, we're going to give you the company for $1. And I know they had lost $178,000 while I was volunteering to run that year. Anyways, they said, you're going to do it. Make a long story short, I conned in a lot of my buddies and friends, people like Art Larson, Ron Sakamoto. By the way, Ron and Art said, I said, you should be here today. They said, when we can golf, we know those guys, just tell them hi. But here's what's happened. Because of horse racing, RMTC has contributed over $300 million per year. This is a study by Sericon, an independent company. $300 million per year supporting rural tourism, agriculture, employment, and overall economic development. We rent from the Lethbridge exhibition $500,000 a year, including utility payments. We have given over, we pay $75,000 a year in municipal taxes to you. We have over 40 full-time jobs, 30 part-time jobs in the organization, not counting the secondary employment of 100 horse trainers, 280 support staff, and over 300 breeders and owners. Over the years, we've supported food banks, Red Cross, sports groups, and cadets, over $1.6 million. We put $8 million in capital and improvements in the leased grounds of the Lethbridge exhibition, which you own, and then you lease to the Lethbridge exhibition, and we sublease the racetrack part. We also paid over millions of dollars in provincial and employees. And that's because of horse racing. But here's the other part. Warrior Relay Racing will double that. It will be as big as our regular horse racing. So it's economics, it's tourism, it's involvement. I had dinner the other day with an owner that comes from Oregon every year. He comes with his significant other. And I asked him what he spends. He spends $140,000 approximately a year in this community when he comes up as an owner and a trainer of his horses. His significant other doesn't do quite as much. She's at 70. So these two people that come every year for the past 20 years are over $200,000 in hay, grain, groceries, employing people, dining, gas, and they've also each bought 3 trucks in Lethbridge during that period of time. And they say they have a family reunion that comes every year from their friends and family from all over America and Canada, and they spend a weekend at the races and enjoying Lethbridge. And that, you times that by another 40 full-time people, that's what we are. And what we're telling you is that Warrior Relay Racing will be the equivalent to our regular racing. So you've seen the ask. We have never, ever asked anything of the Lethbridge City Council. Having said that, we love and appreciate Lethbridge. So with that, unless Rose, she's going to tell me all the things I said wrong and everything that I should have said. So what the hell did I miss?
I'm just part of our presentation. I don't know what's happening with the technical part, but yeah, so we are registered Warrior Relay Alberta, the Spirit of the Horse. And as Max said, the Spirit of the Horse is healing. We will be a training center. There are children involved. They're currently in training, and there's no borders. Like, people come from everywhere to be here. We have relay this weekend, just a couple races, but they do come from everywhere for relay. How many of you guys have actually seen a relay race? Pretty exciting, eh?
We'll throw a hell of a big party at the top of the grandstand and really can watch it, you know, providing we negotiate. Yeah. By the way, I don't know, Lauren, did I introduce you? Lauren Hickey is here supporting us. Lauren, as you know, is historically the Reeve and the council of the county, and he knows and has been involved with the racing and totally supports it. Also appreciate that the Alberta Sport Council, or the Lethbridge Sports Council, is here in support of it as well. With that, Mr. Mayor, we would be open for questions or any of the follow-up of anything you would want.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for the presentation, and you're right. It's in a very exciting event, and I know that it was brought out there at one occasion there, and had the opportunity to watch. And from that point there, I got quite addicted, I guess, to Warrior Relay races, because I was up at the Stampede as well watching, and then back down here watching. And it is a great event, and I can't thank you enough for all of you for putting it on here and having the investing in our community by having that event. I do have questions in the queue. Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. Okay. And thank you, Mr. Gibbons Rossi, for coming down. I guess my first question, I'll echo the mayor's comments. I've attended the relay races, and you're right, the pageantry, the regalia, but the excitement of those races is amazing with the dust flying, and it's very exciting. But I do have a question. You provided a budget page, but it's all expenses. There's no revenue side on that, so it's kind of hard to wrap or get an idea of what you're actually asking or needing or thinking about.
Well, obviously, we're asking for as much as we can get. And I would be honest that we are approaching sponsorships, provincial and federal government, and obviously this is a minimum budget. We hope that it'll be bigger and better. This will be expensive. There will be revenue, but not extensive revenue. Yeah, this would be the economics of it.
Thank you for that. And then on your final slide, it does talk about City of Lethbridge support, but it's all questions rather than an ask. So did you have an ask, or
Well,
is it just to explore the possibilities?
Well, we would appreciate as much money as you would give in support of this program. So obviously, we'd like $840,000.
I'm just going to mention, like, we call it, like, I mean, we refer to it as a,
Just into the mic. Thank you.
we refer to this as an event. At this point, we're looking at as, the ask is to actually bring in the whole industry here to Lethbridge.
Yeah.
not an event.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah, we have been holding events. Now we want to make it a ongoing sport program, or as we're doing with horse racing. And again, we see it doubling, potentially doubling the economic and the enthusiasm of our industry.
So the budget is 280,000 a year, is that?
No, yeah, no, it's 840,000 a year.
Oh, I thought that was, sorry, so that's where I was confused. So it is nearly $1 million a year?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yes, now I see times 3 years, not divided by
Yes.
3 years. Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'll hop out if others have questions.
Actually, I'd just like to carry on with that same question. So the purses and payments obviously is something that would, I know myself, would never put out as a taxpayer dollars to pay for prizes. So if we remove the 640,000 breeders' incentive programs, you know, there's going to be awards and conference. I'm just wondering, this is the full amount here, but I can see a 640,
Yes.
a 40 certain things. And I guess my question maybe would be to our city treasurer, looking at these different items here, has there been any historical payments for any other major event that we've hosted that would do, I know the answer to this, I'm going to just rhetorical question, that we've been able to do payments for different events and prize payments dollars? I know the answer to that, but I'm sure that you're aware of. There's been nothing as far as that goes, correct? Training programs.
Horse racing is interesting and one of its own, you know, in the sports world, on how it operates, you know, with purses and all those things, which I know it's hard to kind of get your head around our industry.
Yeah, it's almost like in my mind, it
Complicated,
seems
but-
when you see purses and payments, it's in the world of gambling, et cetera, and to support something that would be obviously would not be something that a council would do.
We will go after somebody else for that if you'll give us the balance.
So you're looking at like awards and conferences. Okay, so I just wanted to get that, ask those questions there, but I'll turn the time over now to next in the queue, Councillor Crowson.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. I have several questions, so I'll ask a few at this point. What happens after 3 years? Is this self-sustaining? Is this like, do we put in a bit of money now, and then in 3 years it's running on its own, or is this an ongoing commitment, just, you know, tied up as a 3-year commitment?
We would hope that we could develop it in the 3-year period in terms of organization, structure, sponsorship, and a variety of things that we would, it's a 3-year ask.
Okay. And you're calling it the home of the Indian relay racing. Can that be trademarked, and what's your marketing plan?
Well, and do you want to come?
Well, sure. So already in its own, we are pretty much the only ones, our committee, that have been calling it Warrior Relay. Alberta is registered name, the Spirit of the Horse. So that in itself is its trademark, and will also be shared with tourism and otherwise. I know, like, I sit on a board for Indigenous tourism advisory, and you know, there's a lot of exciting things that are going to be coming through where, you know, this actually fits in quite nice, you know, for tourism and, you know, 7-day, 14-day, you know, trips to Lethbridge where they have these various activities and stuff like that to share the culture. We will have, for Warrior Relay, we are Warrior Relay Alberta, so this will be provincial and Canadian. We're going to make our mark.
Okay, the reason I ask this is because, you know, it's promoting the exhibition, it's the Agri-Foods Hub, but when you now look at it, there's like 10 places around the world calling themselves an Agri-Food Hub. right? If you're going to be something, you've got to make sure you get the name trademarked and you get to, so you've been working on that?
Oh, yeah, there's no other with Warrior Relay.
We have the names registered and et cetera, yeah. And we'll also, the one thing that will really help, the way Warrior Relay racing has been going is that with the 2 or 3 months to go, we decide to have a Warrior Relays announcement. We want to establish an ongoing program. And by the way, Europe, we hear from Europe, we hear from all over America, because we have simulcast that goes out everywhere, and people see our Warrior Relay racing, and they want to know when and how. So we want to have stabilize the program, stabilize an organization, establish dates 1 and 2 and 3 years in advance, and then promote it. And we spend considerable money as Rocky Mountain Turf Club on advertising and promotion, and we have relationships with tourism organizations, et cetera, and we want to be able to brag and say, this is where Warrior Relay racing is.
Right, you notice in your budget, you don't have any marketing money. So how are you going to hit the Germany market? How are you going to hit the American market? Is there a plan, and is it a plan we can see?
The one benefit, so Rocky Mountain Turf Club does much. Now, your support is going to go to a organization that I've identified, but Rocky Mountain Turf Club does have considerable advertising money, et cetera, and we'll use our own money to support and encourage that.
So if we were looking at
We'll
this,
be in magazines and newspapers and through all the industry tourism groups.
Can I also mention that it's, with Warrior Relay, I mean, it's also called Indian Relay, the U.S., there's no borders. Like when we have our warriors come in, they come from everywhere. Like, it's amazing how far these guys travel to be part of the meet here in Lethbridge.
right, so when we look back at the budget, you're saying all marketing money is in kind from your organization?
Yeah,
That's correct.
It
Yeah.
settles up with
Yes.
with thoroughbred racing as well.
But if you want to throw another 50,000 into that
No,
too,
no, I don't.
I'm joking.
And that goes
And
along with.
I appreciate your question. It's a good
Well,
question.
if I'm spending city money, it's taxpayer money, so we need to have, and like I said, I would have preferred to see a revenue side on this as well, but thank you. I'll
So
step out
some
right
of the things on the revenue side that's already established here is that we do have equipment, tractors, a racetrack, all those things are already in place. In order to build this other side of our industry and also for the breeding of horses, which is very important to Alberta as well.
Thank
Right.
you.
Oh, sorry, Mayor, can I ask one question of the city manager designate? Why is this coming as an ask, not under the major events grant or under a certain grant? Why is this coming like in this manner and not linked to some funding that we already have?
Through the mayor to Councilor Crowson, I believe this came, and I'll have to turn back over to the group here today with us, but I believe that they brought it directly to council on this one, and it hasn't gone through the major event hosting grant application process. So that is a process that it could go through as well to access those funds.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin.
And we were sort of looking at it as a partnership. We want Lethbridge to be the home of Warrior Relay Racing. We're not one event. We're talking about a movement.
All right. Next question, Councillor Campbell.
Well, thank you. Just kind of trying to wrap my head around, your organization is going to be putting on the races regardless, correct, this year?
Yes.
It's going to happen, and you're going to continue to do this for the next 3 years? That's what you're going to do regardless?
Yeah.
Well, we've already been, supporting it, and it's tough. Like, we want to get it to the next level where, this is going to be an industry. It's not just an event. Like, this is an industry. This will create jobs. This will create tourism. This will bring money to Lethbridge.
Oh, I agree. I know that the resolution at the end of this is going to be for information, so I'm just, is maybe to city manager or designated, just, is there something that we can put forward to city council to make some sort of a resolution that rather than this is information?
So, through the mayor, the one option is this could be with the direction of council. We need to do a little more work to ensure that it would fit with the major event grant, but it could be evaluated with through the major event grant if we could come back to council. But
Because for me, I feel, this is a great, I totally support the initiative here, but I need it to be a little more than, here's the information, so that's,
No, and I appreciate that, and obviously, we don't know procedure, we just wild men.
neither do I, so I'm just,
And I will-
I'm learning.
I will
I
say,
just
look,
share something else with you guys too. There's 6 racetracks in Alberta. Millerville being one of the oldest one. It only operates for one day out of the year, but to keep the traditions going. Just like, we're on circuits and like also with some of the other tracks like Century Downs and Grand Prairie, like also run some of the Warrior. We are an industry. We are looking at growing this industry to involve Indigenous. This is their sport.
yeah, we don't discount. oh,
No,
sorry.
I would like to see this to be a more definitive resolution at the end of this, that we do go into, to look deeper into what you're looking for, and maybe we can come up with a better answer, then we'll send this for information, if that's,
And I just noticed here with the major event, it's a not-for-profit, and this is a profit organization, like it's not a not-for-profit registered group, right?
Non-for-profit.
It's a non-for-profit.
So the not-for-profit is the division of, so you're talking Rocky Mountain Turf Club, which is a for-profit, but this particular group is a not-for-profit?
That's correct.
Okay, and it's registered as a not-for-profit?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Charles?
Worship, thank you very much. I won't take up too much of your time, We've been working on this, I wouldn't call it project, but development for a number of years, We're all very excited about Warrior Relay Race. It's an extreme sport, but there are many different positive pathways with regards to this sport, It's all about our Indigenous communities with regards to the sport of racing, culture, and stuff like that. If you can remember last year, the city of Lethbridge hosted the provincial Indigenous hockey tournament, and we can easily say that the amount that was drawn in for that 1 week was approximately between $2 to $2.5 million to the vendors in the city of Lethbridge, So your hotels, your meals, your all of those entertainments and those type of things, were included in that, So the provincial hockey tournament has been in operation for many years, City of Calgary, Edmonton host the treaties in the provincial, and there's a tremendous amount of revenue drawn to the vendors, to the city of Lethbridge, and we hope that we can do that, But I think the big brand, the big sell for this is that we want to make it a Lethbridge brand with regards to that. There's nothing like this in North America right now. This small organization that we have is the only group that's developing, and I want to address some of those questions as well too. Yes, we want to develop a brand, a trademark, and I think that we're heading in the right direction with that, So not only are we here just for the funding and the budget from the city of Lethbridge, I think we can grow together with regards to tourism, the whole concept on truth and reconciliation, The flip side to this whole thing is that, we are caught up, and you and I, Your Worship, you and I work with young people with regards to the opioid crisis and everything like that, There's so many of our young people that have changed their lives with regards to warrior relay racing, you know. And it's all about the partnership, you know. Not only, you know, business, the corporate side of it, but sports and recreation, you know. And I think it draws the people together from all places, both in the States and here in Canada. And Max is right. The first Indian relay race, warrior relay race that we had, the stand was packed, standing room only, and in the parking lot and stuff like that, you know. You could feel the excitement. You could feel family. You could feel the culture of the event, you know. So I think we're here to sort of not only address the budget. I know it's difficult sometimes to find budget on an ongoing basis, you know. But we can tell you, I think there are some options that are put on the table that's going to generate revenue, you know. But the big thing for us is culture, sports. Our young people have a pathway, you know, that they can change their life around. Number two, the city of Lethbridge can be partners to all of the Indigenous communities that partake in the horse racing industry, you know, plus the warrior relay being included as part of that, you know. So I think we're going to see a great deal of excitement. We're going to see Lethbridge as the city, as the partner that's going to raise the level of excitement. And of course, you know, tourism is going to be big for us, you know. So we're very excited about it. We're going to continue to roll as we move along. But here's an opportunity for City of Lethbridge to partner up with the Warrior Relay. So I just thought perhaps maybe as an Indigenous person, I should add my 2 bits worth into this.
Right. All right, and thinking, I think any of us around this horseshoe, this is an amazing event. Most of us have been there and seen it. Just for process speaking here, and I did hear some words from our Mr. City Manager is designate the city treasurer, that how we find this. So there's different grant funding that could be available that we do have for major event hosting grant, et cetera. So to find out where this would fit in, that's the biggest part. So that we can kind of go through the processes first, because we don't really know as far as revenue expenses, some of these things here, but I know that our city administration would work through some of those details and have this come back. And I know there's other questions in the queue here, but I'm not sure if there's, I can turn over to finish some questions here. Dr. Middleton Hope, gosh. Deputy Mayor.
I know the healthcare system is in crisis, but you're not going to be trundling out old academics. You know, the proposal is not only exciting, I understand that, I intend on attending, but I need to see numbers. I'm a lot more pragmatic than that. I need to see what the expenses are going to be, I need to see what the potential profits are going to be, and I need to see what you're going to ask us for. Coming in and saying, you know, well, we've got a budget roughly of about $840,000, is that the ask? And I know you want to get as much money as you can, but we need to see what the $840,000 is actually going to be paying for and how we can work with that. And I think our financial services is certainly in a position where they would counsel us rather than turning around and saying, here, we'll give you $200,000 or $600,000 or whatever. We need to see a budget. We need to see what this is going to cost. We need to see what the expectations are of the city of Lethbridge are. So I would really encourage you to work with the city to develop that budget so that it comes back to council and we can actually see a fulsome explanation of here's what we think it's going to generate, here's what the benefits are. All the anecdotal comments and so forth are fabulous, but I think we do need to see some tangible expectations on council. That's from my perspective, so thank you for that.
Appreciate your comment.
Right. Acting Mayor Parker.
Mr. Gibb, you guys, I think we all agree it's a great project and all that. It's a matter of process now. And anytime we give money to an organization, we need to show revenue and expenses. We owe it to the community. It's kind of the law. We need to do that. So I think the resolution will state that when it's crafted, to work with our administration, find the appropriate funding amount that's fair to you folks here, come back. You're still going to be doing your event. And then the funding can always be retro as well. We've done that in the past as well. So you've stated your case. I think it's just a matter of process. We got to make sure we follow the right process here.
I just got to clarify again, we're not looking for event money. We are looking for industry to grow and like to
Yeah,
develop.
and I think that's why this has been a great platform.
That's what would come
Yeah,
forward.
that's what would come forward as well. That's all I had to state.
No, thank you for that. And yeah, to work with the administration exactly on, would this come from major event hosting? We found, like, there's multiple different things. So we do have a resolution here, but I'll finish up. Councilor Croson, you still.
I think I'm going to reiterate a few things, but yes, one of the things, I know you're looking for new industry, and a lot of times when this stuff comes forward with pickleball, which nobody would have foresaw 10 years ago, it came through capital, right? So, but we do have to ask those questions of the budget and stuff. You have the capital, you're looking for operational, so it's a bit more of a, it's a little bit of a different ask for us than we normally get from the sports industry, because it usually is, they have the people, they need the capital. So we do need to see how this would fit in. We do need to see attendance numbers. We need to see forecasting. We need to see, a more complete budget. We need to know that your marketing would be in place, that the trademarking would be in place. And the other thing we're going to be needing to know is what's in it for the city. That sort of stuff would need to be lined out. And I think that's where we're asking you to work with administration to go, bring us the fulsome package, so that if we do go ahead, we can go to the public and say, this is what we bought with your money. Because we need to be very clear how we spend their money. So I know we've kind of devolved from questions into debate. We're looking for ways to help you make this successful, but we need to also tie it in with what we need to do.
Appreciate your comment.
Thank you, Councilor Croson. I do have a resolution here, moved by Councilor Campbell. Reconciliation Indian Relay Alberta Association Spirit of the Horse. Be it resolved that the Economic Standing Policy Committee recommend that City Council receive the report and attachments as information, and further that administration conduct a review of the request to determine what potential source of funding could be granted, and further that a report with options be given to City Council by July 11th, 2023. And my question would be, if I look out to those who would be dealing with that, that date is okay, all right, by July 11th, 2023, and it gives us some option. If, it's sometimes, do you want to do it right or do you want to do it right now? I think going through the process, making sure that we've got this for future, working with administration so we find out what revenue sources would come from if it was supported by council is important. So I'll turn the time over to the mover, Councilor Campbell.
Yeah, I just, basically, we've kind of discussed it all. It came before us. It's an amazing project. I'm totally on board, but we do need to figure it out with administration, find out what the ask is, how we can keep this going, and how we can maintain this, because I think, because it is a Lethbridge brand for all of Canada and even North America. So, but I think this sort of gets us on that path the correct way. And so unless there's any other questions, there are other questions, go ahead.
Question, Councilor Croson?
Just a clarification to the city manager and to the administration. Conduct a review. You've heard all the discussion. Do both groups understand what council is sort of looking for in that review? Is that sufficient direction?
Yes.
Perfect. I thought it might be, but if you don't ask the question, you don't get the answer.
Good question, Councilor Croson. Thank you very much for that. I will be supporting this resolution. I think it's important, and of anything here coming in here as Rizad had mentioned as well, it's bringing it to light. What we want to do. We want to be able to share with people the great things that are happening within our community. So coming in here, and I know Mr. Gibby, you're mentioning, well, we're cowboys. We're coming here. We don't know the process. Well, but that's okay, because that's we can help you along with that, and this is how we're going to kind of guide to that right place. But don't think that this is all lost, because it's great. The community heard today. It's out there is this wonderful event that we could have within our community. So I look forward to having you work together with our administration on what we can do in the future. So with that, I do see Acting Mayor Parker. You're good. Okay, Councilor Schmidt-Rowe. Oh, you're good. All right. Go back to the mover.
You say it. No, it's all been said. So with that, I'll call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? Right. It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Well, and thank you. We wanted to, first and foremost, we want you to know where we're going, and that we have a humongous vision, and it's about economics and tourism and reconciliation. And so it's an honor to discuss it with you. And by the way, a very special person wanted to say a word. Bruce, would you? This is a
Sure.
tremendously respected gentleman. And his grandson just, what did he just get?
Oh, yeah, drafted by Hurricanes on May 11th. He's 15 years old. He's always played hockey here in Lethbridge with AAA and all. And really grateful, thankful that he's one of our, members on reserve and has always lived in Lethbridge. My friend Mark, you're the voice of Catholic Central in '73. I remember you. And
I graduated in 1995.
I know, we all did. I just want to mention, just to qualify, in 2010, the whole intent was to bring this across the 49th parallel and introduce it to Canada, because I had gone there and I've seen it. And it's the sport of America. Just like I grew up in Carson, it was either football, basketball, rodeo, it was all that. And I always been involved with horse racing with my big brother and everything. So when Relay came across, I said, I got to get 2 teams in there. And thanks, I seen my picture. But all in all, it comes down to this. I had a vision and a mission, not only to see it here on the Blood Reserve, but to go outside. And yes, now it's in Calgary. We brought the mayor down. Yes, thank you, Max. Now it's in Lethbridge. We've been to Millerville, and I know there's other places. It's starting to grow. And it's good that to witness and to see the spirit and intent of this supporting the sport. And I know in the long run, the reason why we enjoyed this was because it did draw a lot of people to the grandstands. And you're right, I've never seen it that full. And I've been racing since 1989. So just thought I'd let you know. Thank you.
Great. No, thank you very much, and appreciate everything you do. We look forward to this event rolling out in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Appreciate it.
And there will be a big invitation, as long as there's some money.
All right. With that, can I have a motion to go in camera? Well, I just, maybe we should find out a timeline. What do you think yours would take? Are you okay if we finish this up? Is that fine if we reach? Okay, thank you, yeah. Motion to go camera. Thanks, Charles. And so I do see Councillor Carlson, a motion to go in camera. All in favor? We'll wait for Janessa to get prepared. All right, we're good. All right. We will continue on with our very shortened meeting. And thank you very much, Ms. Slovak, for your patience here this day. And we'll turn the time over to our next presentation by Ms. Slovak, General Manager for Opportunity Lethbridge, regarding Opportunity Lethbridge 2022 Annual Report and Lethbridge Land Work Plan. The floor is yours, Ms. Slovak.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Your Worship and members of Economic Standing Policy Committee. My name is Abby Slovak. I'm the General Manager of Opportunity Lethbridge. Our team began producing annual reports and work plans dating back to 2018. We've done this to improve our fiscal and operating transparency and to celebrate the team's accomplishments. So I'm excited to be here to present our 2022 annual report and the 2023 to 2026 work plan for Lethbridge Land. Next slide, please. For those who may be watching online, Opportunity Lethbridge is a fairly new department of the city, created about 2 years ago, and was formed by merging Lethbridge Land, Urban Revitalization, and the Lethbridge Airport. Beyond the core work in those streams, we have a number of support services that help the corporation and the community, and those are outlined on the right-hand portion of the slide. Next slide, please. I'm first going to talk about Lethbridge Land. This is the development wing of the city that turns raw land into residential communities and industrial subdivisions. We are self-funded. That means we're not reliant on municipal tax dollars, and we actually generate revenues that are reinvested back into the city. Next slide, please. A couple of highlights from the attached report. In 2022, we sold 74 residential lots. We brought 31 lots to the market in Crossings Phase 5A, and 22 of those have since sold. We ended the year with 41 lots in inventory. This sales growth can be attributed to continued success in Crossings and the newly formed builder group in Riverstone. For Sharing Industrial Park, no sales occurred in 2022, and we have just over 200 acres remaining in inventory. Next slide, please. In 2022, Lethbridge Land saw just over $8.2 million in sales revenue from residential lots. No commercial or industrial sales occurred. But it's important to note that as per our agreement with Royup, a payment was made prior to the end of the year. As the subdivision was not complete at that time due to delays with the Land Titles Office, the transfer is expected to occur later this year, and the revenues will be reflected in 2023. Next slide, please. Lethbridge Land's market share sat at 17% in 2022 and averaged 18% over the period since 2006. We measure market share by the number of lots that are registered by each developer per year. Next slide. Some of the highlights for Lethbridge Land. We have celebrated many achievements over the year, including the formation of a new builder group in Riverstone, being the home of 2 award-winning show homes and crossings, being the home of the 5th annual Stars Lottery Dream Home, the installation of some amazing artworks and signage, and we also hosted some fun community events. Next slide, please. Next, I'll touch on our urban revitalization stream, which is focused on creating a vibrant and attractive urban core, including the areas of downtown, the Warehouse District, and 13th Street North. This work is guided by the Heart of the City Master Plan and the Heart of our City Committee. Next slide. So this slide outlines a number of grants and incentives that we have to help stimulate growth and renewal. They're listed here. It's important to note that the Urban Core Housing Incentive Program and the Urban Core Property Improvement Program are no longer accepting applications, as those funding pots have been fully allocated. Additionally, since these slides were prepared and submitted for your review, this Crime Prevention through Environmental Design program has been fully allocated for the 2023 year as well. So we'll be opening applications again in 2024. The remainder of the programs are open and ongoing. Next slide. Some of the highlights for urban revitalization included the construction and opening of Festival Square, completion of the 3rd Avenue reconstruction project, our 6 wonderful new Oki signs at partner locations throughout the city, our lovely pollinator cafes, the $375,000 in grant funding we received to create a play space at Galt Gardens, which will be breaking ground right away, and in the coming weeks, and then the Warehouse District area redevelopment plan work. Next slide, please. Moving now to Lethbridge Airport. The city acquired the airport in 2018 from Lethbridge County and took over operations in 2019. The airport is a department of the city, and we hope to transform it into a catalyst for economic development for the city and the region. Next slide, please. In 2022, passenger traffic had recovered modestly from the previous year with just over 31,000 passengers. We're still seeing the impacts of COVID-19 on the airline industry, and slow recovery is being seen in many smaller regional airports like ours. On the revenue side, the airport ended the year in a deficit position of approximately 1.5 million, with funds being transferred from the airport reserve to cover the deficit. Next slide, please. Some of the highlights for the airport included the $26 million renovation that was completed and our grand opening with many special guests, including Premier Kenny, the creation of the airport incentive framework, our passenger and community surveys, a shiny new website, the addition of transit service at the airport. We hosted drag races and an air show. We've got some lovely artwork, and we've done lots of work to prepare for Flair and the flights to Tucson this coming winter. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, we provide a number of support services for the organization and the community. Next slide. Some of the highlights include the phase 1 of the Regional Economic Development and Tourism Strategy, providing concierge support for the development of the Agri-Food Hub and Trade Center, finalization of a corporate land banking strategy, the creation of the AERO framework for asset rationalization, and supporting a number of major affordable housing projects. Next slide, please. The attached annual report provides 2 financial documents. The first is the subdivision development account schedule. Our account balance at year end was a deficit of approximately 1.4 million. As I mentioned earlier, this is attributed to a number of things, but primarily the front-end financing of the Gary Station School site, and then also the delays at land titles with the subdivision for the Royup lands. So this $2.6 million payment will be credited to the 2023 revenues. Next slide, please. The second financial report shows Lethbridge Land's financial reinvestment into the community. As I mentioned, profits from Lethbridge Land are reinvested back into the community, and since 1994, we have invested $76.5 million, and an additional $13.2 million are earmarked in our current capital and operating budgets for reinvestment. Next slide, please. Finally, I wish to present the updated 2023 to 2026 Lethbridge Land Work Plan. This is our capital budget for land development projects. It's prepared for the following 4 years, but it's updated and presented to Council annually for approval. I would like to note that Lethbridge Land reviews project budgets and subdivision account cash flows with our city treasurer and finance team on a monthly basis. Projects are heavily scrutinized before proceeding and are delayed as necessary. Next slide, please. In comparing this work plan with the previous years, a number of projects have been delayed in anticipation of continued sluggishness in the market. We are very mindful as to not bring on more lots than the market demands. If conditions change and projects need to be advanced, we will return to City Council to seek approval to do so. Next slide, please. Just to note that all projects shown here over the last 2 slides are funded through subdivision surplus, with the exception of the Airport Area Structure Plan, Outline Plan, and Annexation work, which are funded through N7 of the operating budget. Next slide, please. This last slide shows our project variances over the past year. While some projects are continuing into 2023, I'm happy to report that no projects went over budget. Finally, I'd like to give a huge shout out to the Opportunity Lethbridge team. We've had a very busy year with lots of competing pressures, but the team worked really hard, and as you've seen here today, they've accomplished an incredible amount. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Actually, that was very impressive, right? Good job. Thank you so much, Ms. Slovak, for that presentation. That was great. It's something that I remember going back when Michael Kelly used to mention the fact that if we got out of the land business, what things we would also lose. And we saw the numbers here of $80-some million over the years going to parks, et cetera. So, I mean, it's comforting to see that that is a big part of why we're in that land business at a smaller scale. A question I'd have is, you'd mentioned some of the things that it did cover. In there is, and excuse me, I should probably know this, but I'm going to ask this anyways, is staffing come through that as well? Wages come through the profits, I guess, if you will, from land sales? Is that how your team is covered? That's how it is funded?
A portion of the team, so the land development folks for sure. So my salary, Spencer's, other members of the team are covered through profits from land development. And there are other positions in the organization that are also covered through subdivision surplus as well.
Oh, great. No, thank you very much for that. Councillor Carlson.
Is part of council's salary covered from? I think it is.
Through the mayor to Councillor Carlson, yes. Through corporate overheads component, real estate land development actually supports a number of the corporate areas. The funding and revenues that get generated there fund council, administration areas like our area and so forth to a percentage of the work that they have.
Wow.
I believe the solicitor's office as well.
Thank you. I thank you for bringing that. I had no idea. I thought you were joking.
We are the board of directors, so that's how that works.
Sort of.
Quick, Mr. Lovac, thank you for this. And some of the language in the report talked about being cautiously optimistic. I'm not sure when those words were typed. Are we still cautiously optimistic? Because I'm monitoring things, and some of my news sites I monitor are not. They're cautiously pessimistic. So
I think today we still are. We have been seeing some really great success in crossings and the formation of our new builders group in Riverstone with new show homes under construction has us optimistic. But I mean, it's hard. We need a crystal ball, I think, in today's market to really understand what's going to happen over the next couple of years.
okay, thank you. And we do approve this annually, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And any changes, if we need to advance things, we would come back to you for approval to do that. And we don't proceed with anything until we're sure that we're ready and the treasurer is happy as well. So,
Thank you.
Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Ms. Slovak, for bringing this forward. Part of what I want to ask you is going to be a much larger conversation I think we need to have at the council level at some future date. On page 8 of the report, I noticed you state, or the report states that the Crossings daycare site is ready to go to market in 2023. Now, I'm guessing that that's because we had the foresight to understand that daycare centers spaces are in short supply in the city, so that's why we forecasted for that. Are any other developers looking at that kind of site or that kind of site plan anywhere else in the city that we know of?
that I am not sure. What we did in Crossings was took 2 residential lots and then rezoned them to RM so that they could accommodate a daycare. And we were kind of waiting to see if there was going to be a strong enough need for it. Those 2 lots will be consolidated and it would handle sort of a, I think it's called daycare minor in the land use bylaw, but like up to 50 kids, sort of a neighborhood type daycare. I'm not sure if there are other developers doing that, but I do believe there is a need in the community for it.
Okay. So along that sort of thing, does Opportunity of Lethbridge, we did this with social housing projects, but does Opportunity of Lethbridge have an inventory of site for daycare centers in the city in currently developed neighborhoods? Have we looked at that?
I mean, this would be the site that we have in Crossings. If there was demand beyond this, we could look at, you know, future phases of Crossings, adding a second one. We'll also be at City Council over the next, probably in the fall, with the revision of the Watermark Outline Plan, and we've got a number of spaces in there that are reserved for social uses, for daycares. They're kind of like flex sites in that plan, so those are 2 that could be, you know, utilized in the future if there is a need for that.
But not in currently developed neighborhoods. We don't have an inventory.
Just
of
this
that.
one in Crossings today.
Okay. And do we offer, because you said it's ready to go for sale in 2023, do we offer incentives for daycare businesses or operators to develop their business? We don't currently do
Not
that in
today.
the city, do we?
I just might also add that daycares are through the land use bylaw are allowed in other zones. So there may be commercial areas in the city. So whether it's the Crossings commercial development or downtown or other areas where there may be properties that may allow for it.
And then I'm not sure whether you would know this, and I can put this out to someone else after this meeting, because there's some social service organizations I wanted to talk to. Do we have an estimate of how many daycare spaces we're short in this city?
I'm not sure of that, sorry.
No, and that's fine. Next question I had was that on page 9, there's an indication in 2022 there's an increase in inquiries regarding industrial land. So when we see those inquiries come forward and then they don't come through to invest in Lethbridge, do we know the usual reasons why? Or are there reasons why that are sort of the top 2 or 3 reasons why they don't come through to invest?
Yeah, we absolutely do. We keep track of, what ends up happening. I think, we're looked at against a lot of other municipalities, whether it be locally or nationally. I think it really just is around, is the land ready? And does it fit within their business model? Can they make it go here? But we have been seeing an increased number of inquiries, so we're hopeful over the next couple of years that we'll have some more sales.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Crowson.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. Thank you very much for the report. There's certainly a lot to digest in here and a lot of information. Following up partly on what Councillor Schmidt-Rempel just said, we have the Industrial Municipal Tax Incentive Program, which has no applicants. So we have people looking at, it's for industrial lands. We have this grant that they're not using. Any sense why we're not using it? Is it something that needs a revamp? Is it working? Or is it just timing? What is going on with that program?
Yeah, I don't have a good sense as to why it's not being utilized to date. It is for production and it's for large-scale projects, so I'm just not sure if there's been, any projects that would fit into the criteria of it that would be able to access it yet. But we do have questions about it often, and we provide information on the grant.
Because, I love the ones that are, oversubscribed because it means they're useful, right? And you may be needing at some point to look at more money for some of those. How often do you review those to see that they are actually meeting the needs and requirements, and if we have enough money, if we have the right program?
I would say every couple of years we look at them, but we could do it more frequently. And I think if there was a potential for a development to occur or an investor who was inquiring or interested in Lethbridge and didn't quite fit in the program, it's something that, we could bring forward to council and see, is this something that we should be making a change to this incentive now to make sure that we're casting our net wide enough to have some impact with it.
And we combine these 3 groups together, right? Lethbridge Land, Urban Revitalization, et cetera. Are we doing the best we can to work on them in a way that benefits all? Because I'm thinking Lethbridge Land doesn't do infills, and yet we have Urban Revitalization working with them. And one of the things that Urban Revitalization needs really well done is good infills. Is there an opportunity there that we're not working on effectively?
I think there is an opportunity to look at further infill development, whether it's, lots that are available on the market, if we could, acquire them and consolidate and try to create more space for affordable housing. I think there is an opportunity with our team to be able to do that work.
Kind of combine the best of those 2 parts of this. Because I know even within a department, it's easy to get siloed, and I'm just thinking, we have land, we have urban revitalization, they just don't seem to be making quite some of the connections across that might be the best. Okay? And my question that I always ask, anything keeping you up at night that you think we should know?
I think just the market and trying to understand what's going to happen over the next while.
Yeah, I don't have that crystal ball either, so, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Higgin.
Thank you, Councillor Crowson. I have no further questions, but thank you very much for that update. We appreciate it. And I guess, we're not going to say we're going to see you in a year because we see you a lot sooner than that usually anyways, but for this particular report, but thank you very much. I have a resolution from Councillor Carlson, Opportunity Lethbridge 2022 Annual Report and Lethbridge Land Work Plan. Be it resolved, the Economic Standing Policy Committee accept the Opportunity Lethbridge 2022 Annual Report for information and recommends Council adopt the language we're going to change language. Adopt the Lethbridge Land 2023 to 2026 work plan as presented. Councillor Carlson?
Thank you, Mayor Hagan. Unless there's any questions by my colleagues, just thank Ms. Slovak and her team for the work, and we look forward to being more than cautiously optimistic in the future. With that, I'll call the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And we have a submission here, 6.1, D23 Outdoor Sport Court Capital Improvement Program Amendment. Be it resolved, the Economic Standing Policy Committee recommend that Council amend the scope of the Capital Improvement Program D23 Outdoor Sports Court as provided in option 1 and reduce the scope from 2 courts to constructing 1 court at a reduced size. And this was brought forward previously. So if there's questions, Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mayor Hagan, through you to City Manager Designate. It does talk in option 1 that the reduced size that's being proposed is still acceptable for the activities at this space, but that wouldn't include roller derby. That's being completely eliminated out of this.
So the roller derby club could use the space as well. It's just we're eliminating that second court.
Okay, and then it is the right size? I thought the roller derby was the 200 by 85.
So the
Misread it.
Yeah, so the initial plan was to have 2 courts. During engagement with, I've got Ms. Hyman here as well, we decided on 1 regular sized hockey style rink, which would be the 200 by 85, and a second court for roller derby, which is at about a 120 by 85. So because of the over budget consequence here, we're looking to eliminate the smaller court, the 120 by 85.
Okay, and thank you. And just for clarity's sake, the original budget, and I'm scrolling through all my notes, was around 700,000 for 1 court, if I recall, and council added a couple $100,000 to get 2, and now we're getting 1 reduced court for the increased budget, correct?
That is correct.
Supply chain issues.
Construction costs.
Yeah, I hate those words. Okay, thank you.
City Treasurer.
So, Mayor Hagan, through to Councillor Carlson, I just want to clarify one component on this too, and this comes back to that very area you mentioned during CIP. So if council members can recall, it was $762,000 for the original budget. I think I got my number right there. And it increased up to $900,000 and with 2 courts. But at that time, the discussion was during deliberations that administration would come back if it wasn't within the parameters. There was some discussion around that from the infrastructure services manager, past infrastructure service manager, Mr. Hawkins. From that point of view, past, I guess. From that point of view, that it was a starting point, and we'd have to come back. So what the group has done is they've gone out, as they had mentioned, got the detailed design components. Now they're coming back. And so there was always a risk that was going to occur on this project. It was a little bit different than some of the others going out there. I'll let Mr. Richter speak to anything else on that, but I just wanted to bring that to the attention of council.
Thank you. Councillor Crowson.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hagan. Thank you for the information, for the submission. I read through it, and I read through the old D23, and where? Because in the old one, it says site location will be determined as part of the project. I went through the report. Where is this being constructed?
This will be constructed at Legacy Park.
Legacy, so, okay. And Ms. Iman, you've been sitting here the whole day, so we may as well ask you a question. Otherwise, your time is wasted. So if you wouldn't mind, it is SBC. We can ask members of the public. Does this have the support of Sports Council? Are we building something that is needed? And of the 2 choices between what's going ahead and what isn't, did we make the right choice? Just easy questions.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Easy question. So I have a couple of hats on. One, thinking about community sport and our sport organization members, and one about hosting events. Regarding the community sport and recreation, the size, the 185 by 85 works fine. When it comes to building in case we wanted to use it for an event, then the larger size, 20 by, the 200 by 85 would be the ideal, but that is $50,000 more. So is that, yeah, I guess that's a decision to make. Is that worth the $50,000? It's not my money. But those are the two hats. The other piece with this is there are provisional items there, and one is the sport court, which is a challenging piece. From my understanding, they haven't found a sport court that can be used outdoors that would work for the sports that wanted to use the facility. But that, if there is something out there, that would be, from my members' point of view, would be the priority in the provisional items. Yeah.
So following up, what are the chances of an event? Like, is it, I mean, again, there's the two options. My mind goes build for the people who live here before you build for other people, which is the direction we're going. Is it more likely going to be used locally, and that is the better option when we can only have one?
Yes, absolutely. Community sport and community sport development would be the priority.
Thank you very much.
I see no further questions. I do have a resolution in front of me. Thank you very much. D23, I did read this. I will read it one more time. It be resolved that Economic Standing Policy Committee recommend that Council amend the scope of the Capital Improvement Program D23 outdoor sports court as provided in option 1 and reduce the scope from 2 courts to constructing 1 court at a reduced size. Councillor Crowson.
Well, we just heard the conversation. It would be wonderful to have all the money we ever wanted, but when we don't, and there have to be reductions, this reduction was made to benefit the community as best as possible with the funding that we have. We will still be providing 1 court for the community, and I'm hoping my colleagues will support this amendment.
No further debate. So with that, question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carries. Thank you. And we will have a motion to go in closed. Councillor Carlson. I'm going to look to the right. All in favor? All right, we're going in closed.
They're at the post.